Pep Guardiola, Jurgen Klopp, two of the world's best managers, and today I have combined both of their styles into FM23 and we have made the perfect 4-3-3. So we're going to talk about the results first. We are going to be testing with two of the teams they are currently managing, and we are going to talk a lot more in today's video how we sort of got the inspiration for this tactic, what parts of the game did we take from Pep and from Klopp, and really explain how we created this tactic for you guys. So let's go over right now into the first testing phase, which is going to be with Manchester City. So we're going to start over with the blue side of Manchester, as I just said, and we won the Premier League quite convincingly, as you can see. We won the Champions League against Real Madrid, the FA Cup against Manchester United, the Carabao Cup against Arsenal, one trophy off making it a 5-trophy winning season, unfortunately losing to Liverpool in the Community Shield. We scored 143 goals just in the Premier League alone, conceded only 22, and a total of 0 coming in when it comes to the red cards. In terms of the league table, it was very, very dominant. I mean, 106 points, Manchester United coming in with 86, so nowhere near where we managed to get to in that Premier League table. So a really good season over in England and Europe, just in general, a really good season. And in terms of the team stats, we're going to be looking at most points per game at 2.79, most goals at 143, which is, you know, 50 more than what Liverpool was scoring, so not even a contest really. Most shots for at 983, fewest shots against at 236, most clean sheets at 23, and also the fewest conceded coming in at 22. In terms of the data hub, we are going to be looking at 3.76 goals per game, which is really, really good. The hardest league in the world. Obviously, anything above 3 is a really good stat line in this division. Conceded per game, really defensively solid as well at 0.58. The pass completion could be a little bit improved, and if you're wondering why it's not a little bit higher, considering there's a little bit of Pep influence as well, I would say for this occasion, it's probably a 60-40 split in terms of Klopp's favour to Pep's favour. Because I do like playing that high, intense, aggressive style, and sometimes playing that way doesn't always give you the best possession stats. But it is also got that little Pep theme in there with the shorter passing, and I'm going to explain a little bit more about exactly what Pep brings to this tactic. But overall, a very good sort of stat line there coming in from the data hub. And to finish it off, we are going to look at the squad, and this is where it gets interesting, because you are right. It's not the highest amount of goals I've seen Erling Haaland score in any sort of FM save, but 114 is absolutely incredible from him. That is across all competitions, by the way, so it is to be expected from a player of his caliber. 44 from Phil Foden, De Bruyne with 29, 16 for Diaz, 10 for Gundogan, Silva with 10, 8 for Mahrez, Alvarez with 6 as well. A lot of different players getting involved. Obviously, Erling Haaland having the bulk load of the goals, but that is to be expected when you literally have the best striker in the world by quite some distance as well. In terms of the assists, we've got 40 for Bernardo Silva, Phil Foden with 35, De Bruyne with 23, 20 for Mahrez, 17 for Gundogan, 15 for Gomez, 10 for Grealish, Rodri with 9, Ake with 9, even Haaland with 9. So what we're seeing here is what sort of players that are going to get involved with the assists, and it's pretty much everyone, guys, if we look here. Obviously, the sort of further up players, the wingers, the attacking midfield players, they're always going to get the most. But realistically, we've also got the likes of Sergio Gomez, obviously a fullback, Ake, who obviously is also a fullback. So it's not only the attacking players that are getting involved, it's also the fullbacks, which just shows what this tactic offers. And we're firstly going to watch the highlights from the Carabao Cup final, game which I did play. And a lot of the games did come later on, but we did grab a goal in the first half with Phil Foden laying off Kevin De Bruyne. And in that position, he is never going to miss. I mean, this guy from the edge of the box is literally like a penalty for him, as Bernardo Silva puts a ball in the box into Ruben Diaz in the 69th minute to make it 2-0, and Arsenal simply couldn't respond, and that is where we did get this goal here, as Kyle Walker bombs down the right-hand side, cuts into Julian Alvarez, a great ball through into Erling Haaland, who puts it past Matt Turner in goal in a very comfortable 3-0 win. The second game we're going to show you is going to be the Champions League final against Real Madrid. Obviously, these two matching up in real life very recently, where Man City made Real Madrid look very amateur-like. It was a very embarrassing game for Real Madrid, and not as much as a domination in this one, but still a very important scoreline. 2-0 final against a team like Madrid is still also a great accomplishment, as Ake from left-back puts a great ball in the box there into Erling Haaland, who's never going to miss when he gets a clean-cut header in the box. It's got to go in, unless you do a miracle save like Courtois did on obviously when they played before. But we build up again here with Rodrigo going over the top into De Bruyne, takes it past Courtois, his bitter rival, and tucks it into an empty net. And we then go over to Liverpool, and we had a really good season here as well. We won the Premier League, the Carabao Cup against Tottenham, the Community Shield against Man City, also Champions League winners, which I'm going to show you. For some reason, it's not showing on this part of the game, which we do love to see as always. 115 goals scored, 22 conceded, and a total of 0 red cards. So a really good discipline tactic as well. In terms of the league table, not as convincing. I say that like we were very close. It was still really, really dominant. Obviously, with Man City, it was over 100 points. In this case, 96 points compared to Arsenal with 78 points. Man City down in third, actually, with 76. Manchester United finish off, the top four with 72. In terms of the team stats, we're going to be looking at most points per game at 2.53. Most goals at 115, which is really, really good. Most shots for at 1 under 1,000. Fewest shots against at 253, fewest conceded at 22, and the most clean sheets coming in at 23. So a really good set of stats there. And the Data Hub does back this up really well as well. At 3.03 goals per game, conceded at 0.58, pass completion a little bit higher with this team, which does surprise me because Man City have got the better midfield players. That's the only way I can really separate the two. So that's always an interesting stat line to see. So a really good stat line there. And in terms of the squad, it is still really impressive, but what we noticed about this one is it's more of a split in terms of like the amount of different players that are scoring high amounts of goals. So there's Jota, who was playing up front and on the left-hand side, so got a lot of game time to be fair. 46 goals, Darwin Núñez with 44, 27, 27, 27, coming out of Gakpo, Diaz and Salah. Then there is a little bit of a drop-off, but we have got 1, 2, 3. We've obviously got 5 players scoring over 25 goals a season, which is really, really impressive. And in terms of the assists, we've got 22, 17, 16, 16, 13, 13, 12, 10, 10. So here we go again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 players contributing with 10 or more assists in the season. When you're doing that, you know you're going to dominate your games. You've got chances being created all over the field. And obviously some of the key ones are going to be your Trents, your Robertsons, for example, at fullback. But then also your Salahs, your Gakpos, even your Harvey Elliott. So you are really getting the best out of the players you have in this system, which is always good to see. And we're not going to watch the highlights from the game because it isn't the most exciting in terms of like, there's not loads and loads of goals that we went out and scored, but we did win the Champions League final, as you can see here, against Man City. You can also see some of the other results here as well. And Man City actually had Rafael Leao as well, so they strengthened an already very strengthened team, and we still managed to win it, which is really impressive. We are going to go ahead and watch what's an exciting game that's a final. Carabao Cup final against Tottenham. Let's go and watch that. And I'm glad I picked this one out because I remember Eric Dyer having an absolute stinker in this game. I remember seeing it when I was playing and I was like, there's no chance he's done that. You've got to see it right now. He picks it up. He tries to play it across into Porro. Diaz with the high press. And that is going to be a great chip to make it 1-0 inside of 20 minutes. And when you see Dyer doing that, you know you're in for a good game. As Trent has a throw in here on the right-hand side into Gakpo, back into Trent, a ball over the top into Salah, who hits it at the near post against Forster, a keeper who really shouldn't be playing at this level anymore, in my opinion. We're going to go again here, but down the left-hand side with Robertson, a ball over the top, and this is where the box-to-box comes in. Keita is playing that role this game, and look how far up he is pushed. And realistically, if you didn't have that role in the team, this goal would not have happened. So that box-to-box is really crucial in this team. As Keita touches it down, back into Diaz, across into Gakpo, into Salah, and that's actually a really well-crafted goal. And you could argue a little bit of tiki-taka, short pass and play, a really good goal there as we win the ball back here from Gabby. Fabinho picks it up. 2 options here. Could have played it directly through into Darwin. It's going to be Jota who picks it up. And is he going to play it through? He is into Darwin. And that is going to be an incredible goal for an incredible final. And we are now going to break down the tactic, guys, but I do want to quickly say, if you're enjoying today's video, please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. If you've got any tactic requests, comment them below, even if you have already before, because I might have forgotten them. There is absolutely tons, so get commenting below right now. So this is going to be the Pep x Klopp tactic, and I want to quickly thank all of the names coming down the screen right now. They're going to be the new or current sort of Patreon members that have signed up. You can do so by clicking the link in the description. If you're wondering why you'd want to do this, it supports me out massively. You also get access to all 3 of the files: early tactic release, early video release, priority and tactic requests, one-on-one tactic help, access to exclusive giveaways, and also much more. I'm constantly working on more stuff I can give back to you guys, but we're going to go through all 3 of them anyway, so don't worry. If you're not a Patreon member, you can simply copy click for click. Now, the inspiration, I'm going to go over it briefly because obviously there's a lot to talk about, but the inspiration was obviously mixing a short passing style with a high pressing style and combining them. And the positions also, so like the DM anchor would be your Rodri, also your Fabinho, so that's pretty basic. The box-to-box is something which works really well on the Liverpool system. It would have been Jude Bellingham if he would have come to Liverpool, but obviously he isn't going to be joining now. The inverted wing back is obviously going to be Trent. That's going to be his role. And in terms of like the actual wide players, Bernardo Silva's cutting in, having shots, which we saw against Real Madrid. That's typically what you can see in a Pep system as well. And now, obviously, Erling Haaland being that main striker is going to be quite further forward. But to start things off then, the mentality is going to be set to attacking. In possession, you want fairly wide, pass into space, overlap left, overlap right, play out of defence, shorter passing directness with a higher tempo, work ball into the box, run at defence, be more expressive, and mix crosses. Now, to briefly explain, if you want to go a little bit more Pep influenced, I would actually put this all the way down to much shorter and take pass into space off, because this would definitely increase the possession stat of the team. I actually don't know if I show you that, but we were averaging around 57-58% of the ball, so still quite good, but obviously Pep is used to being in the 60s, so that is a little change you can make there, and one that might not actually do you any better, because typically when you play like that, you don't create as many chances all the time, but there is still some Pep stuff in here. So obviously, like, playing out from the back is a very Pep theme thing, working the ball into the box is a very Pep theme sort of opportunity sort of tactic theme as well. So it is a nice mix of the both. We're trying to get Jurgen Klopp's high press and counter style and also Pep's in, and I think we balanced it out quite well, to be fair. In transition, we've got counter press, counter, distribute quickly, distributes to anyone across the back line with taking short goal kicks. Out of possession, we've got a standard defensive line, a high pressing line of engagement, much more often on the press, prevent short goalkeeper distribution, and also get stuck in. Obviously, this get stuck in is going to be the Klopp intensity coming in. And that is going to be the team instructions for the default version broken down. In terms of the player roles, let's go over them right now. So, the sweeper keeper is going to be on support on ease off tackles. The inverted wingback is going to be on support on take more risks, dribble more, and get further forwards. The left back is going to be a wing back on automatic, on cross from deep, aim the cross at the centre, and get further forwards. A central defender on the default instructions, and a ball playing defender as well on the default. Going over to the midfield, we've got a DM on defend, on close down more and tackle harder. A box to box on support, on dribble less, get further forwards, move into channels, and tackle harder. This is going to be what we saw with Naby Keita. He essentially will go all the way up to this position here at some stage of the game. So it really does help having a player in that role. It literally was the reason we got that goal in the game. And Metzala on attack, on dribble more, and tackle harder. Now you can use a centre mid sort of on attack, or sort of automatic, which would be more of a De Bruyne sort of role if you wanted to. An inverted winger on the right, on attack, on aim the cross at the centre, shoot more often, grown from position, and tackle harder. On the left-hand side, another inverted winger on attack, on aim the cross at the centre, roam from position, and tackle harder. And to finish it off, an advanced forward on attack, on pass it shorter, take more risks, dribble more, and shoot more often. And that is going to be the team instructions and the player roles broken down for the first version. We are going to go over an attacking and defensive variant. I would recommend you download all three if you can, or copy all three at least, to have as you go in and out of games, because these two essentially are for in-game scenarios. So the attacking one, as you can see right now, there isn't too much of a change because it is already a very attacking tactic. The only real change that is worth mentioning that has any change at all is obviously the deep line playmaker is going to be replacing the sort of DM on support, on close down more, and tackle harder. And the inverted wingback does go to attack with these default instructions on, because there's pretty much everything we want him to be doing. Everything else in the actual sort of player instruction stays the same because it is already very attacking. There are some changes in the team instructions, so we are going to go over them. So an attacker mentality, obviously we did have that anyway. In possession, it's going to be exactly the same because, again, it is a really attacking style. In transition, it actually remains the same as well. But the big change is we've opted to have that higher defensive line. And this is the big change because having a higher line does leave you a little bit more vulnerable at the back. But if you are chasing the game desperately for a goal, you need to push your team up. It makes the other team feel be on the back foot, pushes them into their half. More players of like your team's going to be in their half, as you can see by this diagram here. And it just puts a lot of pressure on them. It's really hard to play out of. The only downside, if they do play out of it, they can go over the top and cause issues. So I will warn you about that one. Little memory refresher though, as we do like to do. This is the default one, just to sort of repicture how it sort of is meant to line up. And the defensive variant is going to be like this. So as you can see, there are some changes, starting off with some of the roles going back to the way they were. But the key ones, the inverted wingers, are going to be on support now, as you can see on the screen. And they are going to maintain the same instructions that they had before, just simply on a supportive role, so they're not as far pushed up and not as attacking minded. The Metzala drops to a supportive role as well, still on dribble more and also tackle harder. And the defense stays the same as it is in the default. The inverted wingback obviously goes back to being a supportive role, not as attacking, and it just works really, really well. The mentality remains on positive, purely because it's, if you go to balanced, I feel like it's a little bit, you haven't got enough going forward to, you're just going to be literally sitting back and just taking chance after chance, especially because we've got quite a few players on support right now. I feel like balance would be a little bit, it's not enough really. So positive works really, really well, even when you are defending. In possession, we're going to have pass into space, play out of defence, shorter, higher, work ball into the box with mixed crosses. The only difference is we've taken off run at defence and be more expressive, because now when we get the ball, we don't really need to attack too much. Obviously, this is going to be a tactic you use if you're a goal or two up against a really big team. You don't want to overcommit, and that is why these two get unselected. In transition, everything's the same apart from the fact we're now going to slow the pace down because we've got no need to go quickly if we're a couple of goals up. And out of possession, it goes back to the default. Standard line remains. The pressing's still there because we want to maintain that side of the game. And that is a really good defensive tactic, by the way, guys. And a really good attacking tactic and a really good general tactic. It's going to be free. Really good 4-3-3s for you guys to obviously download or copy. Whether you're a Patreon member or just a regular viewer, it means the absolute world. If you guys have enjoyed today's video, please do leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We're pushing for 10k by the end of the year. Hopefully we can hit it. And I'll see you boys, which is now going to be on Thursday, for another tactic video.